Good morning, and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folani. Our guest this morning is a friend of the house, Kayode Esola. Kayode Esola is an associate professor at the Institute of African and Diaspora Studies at the University of Lagos. But this morning, he's joining us from Oyo town in Oyo State. A fine morning to you, Kayode.
Good morning, Yori, and good morning, Nigerians.
Indeed. You know, this is a matter that I know interests you. We've spoken about this before. Taking a look at the revised Students' Loans Act, and perhaps also the formation of the Nigeria Educational Loan Fund. Give me your impressions, because we've talked about it. We've done a sort of a critique of the whole concept. But with the revisions now, it removes things like certain barriers, family income, and that kind of a thing. These have now been removed. It used to be a $500,000 naira limit. If your family was, you know, it had to be in that region before you be eligible. Give me your general impressions, Kayode, if you will, about the revision that the president has just signed into law.
Thank you very much, Yori, by first acknowledging that it's a matter, it's an issue that I'm passionate about. I'm passionate about it because I'm a Nigerian, first and foremost, because this is the country from which I got all my degrees, from first to doctoral. And that this is where my own children are schooling. I don't ever have the ambition that my kids go overseas for study, because I trust the Nigerian educational system. I'm also passionate about it because I was a student union leader, and of course, I am still an activist at the level of ASU. So that explains the first comment, that I am passionate about the issue.
Indeed.
That being said, and this you also alluded to, at the inception, we came out with critical analysis and we pointed out areas that were not going to make the loan work very well. One of these was done at your station and a couple of other stations. And I think the government has done well by withdrawing the first draft and reflecting upon comments and criticisms that came all over the country, even outside the country. And then we're working it to where we are now. Where we are now, I tell you, Yori, is still work in progress. We don't have a perfect document, and I don't think any nation has a perfect document. But I think it's something to start with. The encumbrances have been removed. Several contradictions, several things that we never understood have gone out of it. Now we have something that we can start with, and that we can also constantly interrogate and rework as events in our nation. So I think we should commend the government by coming out to appreciate the draft of the policy. We may then go into specifics, if you will.
Indeed, it will be a work in progress. It's like, depending on how you look at it, it could be seen as the bare bones to start with, and then following, as you've just said, a lot of comments that came. Government has looked at things like, for instance, debt forgiveness is in there now, punishment for filing false statements to the Nigeria Educational Loan Fund, and then beneficiaries to begin repayment 2 years after NYSC. Those are just some of the conditions. And as I was saying at the beginning, well, no, I didn't say that at the beginning, but removal of parents' loan history as a prerequisite. So it's like they're taking away a lot of the things that could have frustrated a large number of students. And when you look at the laudable objective of this, which is to make higher education available to many more Nigerians, irrespective of the financial buoyancy of their families, I think, as you said, government really has applied a listening ear to this and has no doubt taken another look at it.
Yeah, definitely, Yori. from series of commentaries I've made about this government, you will pick out one thing, and that thing is that nobody is a soothsayer. Nigeria is not a bed of roses, but we have a government that is ready to take input from the public and reflect upon the input in a bid to rework its policy. Then you have a government that promises to be progressive. And that is what we are in Nigeria as of today. Now, you see, all those things that have been removed point to one thing, and they are pointing to the fact that the individual student now is responsible for the loan they take. They will not be liable to any other thing apart from facing the loan and the liability. Now, in a country like this, where most of the time people who graduate from the tertiary institutions rely on or expect to get white collar jobs, okay, which are fading away from the streets anyway, if you understand what I'm talking about. A main concern that remains is how will the loan be paid? Because this loan scheme is going to be self-revolving, except I don't understand the finance pattern. If 10 students take this amount of money in the year 2004, between 2004 and 2010, it is expected that certain amount of money also returns to the purse of the government or the giver of the loan, so that more money will be available as population increases in the university, in the colleges of education. More money will be available to pay more people who may need the loan. So a critical concern here, which is yet to be addressed, is how does the government reframe the economy in such a way that those who take the loan are able to pay back so that the loan scheme itself will not die. That, for me, is the fundamental question. And Yori, something interesting happened. I've been following it. As I said, it's something I'm passionate about. The managing director of the loan, as well as the executive director of finance, are not politicians. For me, I'm impressed about that one. And why am I saying so? They have not demonstrated that they are in these two juicy positions because they wanted to move around the country in entourage of cars and policemen beating people around the road. What they have done, and this is in the public sphere, is to start moving from one college of education, university, tertiary institutions generally, to the other, getting opinions of stakeholders, students, lecturers, non-academic staff members, and then getting suggestions on how best the loan can work. I can tell you that about 3 weeks ago, that team came into my university at the University of Lagos, and I was part of the team that interacted with them. And the idea is that we do not think what we have is perfect, but we have a template. Please, we need help. Suggest to us how we can form and reform this loan framework so that it works in the interest of
Indeed.
Again, Yori, that's what I'm talking about. Once you have a set of leaders that are ready to listen to the people, policy somersaults will not occur. Okay? And I think that is one thing that is engaging them. How do the students who take the loan get the loan back to the system in terms of repayment so that continuity will be ensured?
Yeah.
That is the issue that we have to debate in Nigeria. For me, that's the most critical issue that is remaining. Every other thing is neither here or there, and it can really be managed.
I suppose another thing that is noteworthy in there in the revised act is that it is no longer restricted to students in tertiary institutions, but now covers those interested in skills development. So this sort of widens the field a bit. I believe this is commentary that that we also mentioned initially when this was first published.
Yes, definitely. The skill acquisition aspect of it is very important. I mean, the world is moving away, whether you like it or not, from the theoretical schooling. If you choose that, if you agree with that phrase that I've used, theoretical schooling, the world is really moving away from there. You need to add one form of value or the other to your theoretical knowledge from the university and other places in a bid to function well in the society. Of course, the United States that people run to, you see that a truck driver or even a garden ant.
Okay, I beg you, this is just to tell you that we're also moving the broadcast over to River State, where the Bank of Industry SMEs loan scheme is being flagged off. Viewers in diaspora and viewers who have on YouTube can continue to watch this program here. Okay, sorry for that. I had to add that in to understand, to tell our viewers that the field had widened. So we'll continue with our broadcast. So as you were saying, Kadi.
Yeah, so it's fine. What I'm saying is that addition of skill, is also very, very important, as you mentioned, because whether you like it or not, the world is going out of pure theoretical knowledge. Of course, we recognize that theoretical knowledge is key in anything anybody wants to do. But core skills are now very important for anybody who wants to navigate very seriously and competitively within any economy at all around the world. So that also is a step in the right direction.
Indeed.
As a matter of fact, what I think the government should do at this point is now work from question to the answer. Okay? And I'm saying this as a matter of suggestion because this government has demonstrated that it is ready to listen, especially on this issue. And I'm passionate and I'm very happy about it. So what the government needs to do now is set up a national committee, maybe about 10, researchers who will go around all the geopolitical zones in Nigeria and interact with students in tertiary institutions, as well as the industries who are ready to collaborate for the purpose of this skill acquisition. The skill acquisition should not be left on the street so that it won't die informally. As it extends to the plumber, to the mason, to the carpenter, to the furniture maker, who are not in the university, it should also extend to students in the university who are studying psychology, political science, history, English, even engineering, so that they can have, agreement with these industries who will train them so that those who are not product of the tertiary institutions, as they graduate, they set up their businesses. From the businesses, they are able to pay the loan. Those who graduate from the university and have also benefited from the skills acquisition, if it becomes impossible or difficult for them to get white-collar jobs, office jobs, they can also set up some things and start paying the loan.
Indeed.
In that way, we can be very sure that the system will survive. After all, it is happening already. We just need to formalize and nationalize it. If you come to the gate of the University of Lagos around 7 p.m., 8 p.m., majority of those you see in the hairdressing salon, in the, massage center, those who sell Indomie, shawarma, they sell noodles, I beg your pardon, it will tell you that they are students of the University of Lagos. They graduated 2 years ago. Some are even doing masters, and they are making all these things, and they are making a lot of money from there. So the town is saying that, hey, you need to add skill to your theoretical knowledge that you obtained from the university and other places, so you'll be able to function in this 21st century society.
Okay.
I think government
I beg your pardon, Kaudi. Sorry for interrupting a bit, Kaudi. But Mr. George in Lagos has been waiting for quite a while. So thank you very much, Mr. George, for your patience. Could you go on now, please?
Thank you, Uncle Yori. Uncle Yori, let me first commend the sense of patriotism by Professor Eswola. I heard him say that he got all his degrees in Nigeria, and he also said that his children, he made up his mind that all his children will not go abroad for schooling, but they will school in Nigeria. That speaks a lot about his person. Coming to the subject of the day, Uncle Yori, one concern I have about this loan policy is the decision to remove the guarantorship of traditional or community leaders from the scheme.
Okay.
That, to me, yes, that to me, if that guaranteeship was allowed to remain, it would have helped to build the moral fiber in our youths in the country. When a parent or the student himself knows that when it is time for him to go to a higher institution, the community leader or the traditional leader of that community will have to guarantee him, they will know how to behave. They won't want to do anything that will make them look, not qualified for this loan in future. But that is for another day, because the law itself is subject to periodic review.
That's right.
One other concern I have is about, Uncle Yori, what is the guarantee that our lawmakers and key government officials will not be asking for slots? If you know what happens with government appointments and things like this, it goes into slots. I want also number of slots. What is the guarantee that the fund managers will not be pressured at the detriment of the poor people that this scheme is meant for, to now divert it to people who are already rich, and they will tell you, this is my slot, you must give me so number of slots. How are we going to guarantee that one? I want the professor to share his thoughts on that. Thank you.
Okay. And let me just comment briefly on your question, Mr. George, because the 2023 Students' Loans Act, it did provide that an applicant must have a minimum of 2 guarantors, and the guarantors must fall into any of the following: civil servants of at least 12, of at least level 12 in the service, lawyers with a minimum of 10 years of post-call experience, or 3, judicial officers, or 4, justices of the peace. The 2024 Act does not have any such provision. So I'm not sure if traditional rulers were removed, but certainly these impediments, the son of, I mean, there are people who are in areas where they don't know anybody of that kind of stature in society. So I'm not sure, but Kawade will probably know if the communal authorities were also excused from, guaranteeing students. Kawade.
Thank you, Yori. I'm still studying the Act. I mean, when you are studying something, you must do so to remove possible ambiguities from your own mind. So what I know that is clear is that there's a philosophy behind having guarantorship. There's a proverb in Yoruba that says, the needle that has thread attached to it cannot just go missing. You will find it quite easy. I think that is the philosophy, that if you want to take the loan, somebody somewhere must say, I know you. And so if anything wrong along the way, God forbid, positive or negative, by your own choice or by forces that are beyond you, there is somebody that can be contacted who will speak for or on your behalf to ensure that what is done is done. That is good in terms of its philosophy, raising debt, as it were. Now, my advice, because it is still work in progress, is that it should be made flexible. If you don't have a lawyer, you can have a civil servant. If you don't have that, you can be pastor of your church, you can be imam of your mosque, it can just be your neighbor. Yuri, why is it that I cannot, even as a young man, walk up to you and say, "Hey, Yuri Folari, I watch your program a lot, and I'm so person. I want to take this loan, and I want you to guarantee me." It should be made that flexible. You don't need to make people pass through the eyes of the needle before they have access to the loan, because the access must not just be access, it must be easy access, as it were. That's the first comment I have. That the second one, taken from a friend who called him, I thank him for acknowledging my patriotism, but also in the aspect of politicians hijacking the thing.
Yes.
There is no true Nigerian who will not have that fear on anything that has to do with government. But again, I don't know why. I'm just optimistic. You see, the executive director of the project was in the University of Lagos as a colleague lecturer before he left. Highly disciplined. I don't know if he has become a politician now, but it's not a cop. Somebody, a strong member of ASU, somebody who will speak for at any point in time. And then the MD himself, Sawyer, because I've had the opportunity of listening to them during press conferences and all these things, sounded like, I am not going to allow any individual interface into this thing. You don't need to know anybody. You just interact with your computer, fill in the form, and then the thing is delivered to you. I hope, Yuri, the two of them make good their promises. If they do, then these politicians will not have a way of hijack. But I'm happy because it was not the core politicians that we know that were put into the leadership of this scheme. It is people who are professionals and who are ready to serve the purpose. On a light mood, maybe I should round it up with that.
Okay, very briefly. Go ahead.
500,000 per annum and 2 million in 2 years. No politician will waste his time, running around that. That money is too expensive. That's on a light mood. But
Indeed.
It doesn't guarantee.
Okay, tell you what, Kaudi, let's take a quick break. We'll be right back to continue this conversation and also take calls if and when